lady washing her car with the window squeegee. Ma'am, that is not how that's done. And that's not what that's for. And how's she gonna rinse it? Also, I make sure not to use this water here because it's always stagnant water at this specific gas station. And it smells like straight up doo-doo. And there she goes, man, washing the car with a window squeegee. Her husband's coming up like, what the hell are you doing, Gladys? Alright, we're right here on the next property, next little cleanup, final trim of the year. You can see, got hedges here. Sorry if it's loud, we're out by the highway. You can see we're just taking off a little bit of growth just to maintain the shape, and we got dozens over there. We got a bunch over there and some more roses. The truck is already full from the last job that you just saw. But basically, we're going to get these roses cut up, set them next to the truck, blow all the leaves into the lawn area, and then bag it with the scag. Put the mower on the trailer, put the rose trimmings behind it, and then head on to the next one. Let's get it rolling. Alright, here we are. So this one is way edited down. I got into editing it and I was like, dude, there's like 30 of these. I don't know how many there are actually, but it's just too much to do all of it. But hey, check it out, man. Here these hedge trimmers go. The HC 2810, I think is what this is. On their 4th year, just making that money, dude. I'm telling you, maintenance is the way to go in 2026. A lot of these guys are going to tell you to not mess around with used stuff and not mess around with used equipment. Your handheld stuff, absolutely go used every time, because I mean, here's the deal. I bought a brand new scag in October of 2024, and I bought the bagging system with it. I've not been able to use the thing for either leaf season because it's been in the shop. This is the 3rd or 4th time it's been in the shop. So new equipment is not all it's cut out to be, and having a warranty is not helpful if it takes a month, no matter where you go. So if it's faster for me to buy it's faster and cheaper to buy a used piece of equipment, take 2 or 3 days off and fix it versus dropping it off for a month. Listen, used equipment is the way to go in the near future. For me, 2026, we're going used. If prices somehow magically come down, great, but they don't come down ever. They're only going to go up. And you can see here, I was like, dude, there's so many bushes, and it's just all this. But I mean, it's fine. It would be okay for like a short or something, but I don't even think it would work well for that. But I really like doing this one. And the funny thing about it is the hedge trimming portion I did on one weekend, and then the mulch portion of this video I did a week later. And the reason for that is I had to do the job in the last vlog. I had to do that job on the same day as this job, and I needed the mower. So I couldn't come prepared with mulch on this day because it was a Sunday and the mulch yard was closed. Also, the mulch yard that I use is about 25 minutes away because the nearby mulch yard, they charge like, I think it's like $40 or $42 a scoop the last time I got it there. The one I go to, it's like $25 a scoop or $23 a scoop. You know what? I'm just going to drive. Just because it's, you can say all you want, like, you know, how much is your time worth? You're spending all this time driving. Are you even, you're negating any savings you're getting? Maybe, but if you're using a lesser quality mulch and you're charging, you know, $40 for it versus $23 for a comparable or maybe even better mulch, to me it's the principal thing. Like, you're just charging insane prices for absolutely no reason. You know, the markup on that is crazy. Now, if I couldn't get $23 mulch elsewhere, but, you know, that's one thing. But there's literally, in our town, there's two others that are in that $20-ish range for their mulch. Why is this one place that's 2 minutes from this location wanting so much more for the same or a worse product? Because here's the deal. Their product is so expensive, they don't sell it as quickly. So it tends to sit longer and get like moldy in it. So they're really not doing themselves any favor. And I would love to use this is always my thing. I would love to support local, but this is a mutual thing. I'm local too. Just because I'm on the customer side, that doesn't mean I'm any less local than you. You know, and I am, again, a local business owner. I'm a business owner buying from a business owner. Where's my support? You know, because all I'm doing is just paying you a gouged price, and then you're gonna, not only that, you're gonna charge me that much extra, and your scoops are not gonna be nearly as full as the other place. So you're not even giving me as much mulch. What's the deal with that? Where's my local? I'm local. Where's my support? You know, so the support local thing, I'm going to be one of the few that is very staunchly against it. It has to be mutual. You know, just because you're a local business, you don't get to just charge what you want and treat the community how you want, and then go, you know, and then you want to guilt trip everyone. Oh, you're buying a kid's shoes for school or their backpack and school supplies, and you know, every time you support local, you put food on the table for a local family. You know, you don't get to do that. And then just do... I just can't comprehend. You just can't... It's so manipulative, and I hate it. Now listen, not every local business is like that, but a lot of them are. You know? And my standpoint is a lot of folks are going to say, well, we can't get the discounts as so-and-so and so-and-so. Well, then you don't need to be selling the product. Like, if you don't have the infrastructure to hold the product, to buy, if you don't have the customer base to sell enough bulk to get a discount to make the price reasonable, don't sell the product. Do something else with that space and that money. You know, don't buy and do an inferior job. Like, it just, and then you want to treat people like it's their fault that they don't want to buy your mulch. You know, which I'm not saying that they do that. I could imagine that being the discussion if it were brought up. But yeah, always remember, you're just as local as the business you're buying from. Okay, and you want to know what? Let's take this a little bit further, because I've already talked about roses. I've already talked about the hedges. Let's take this a little bit further. All of your high school friends, all of your neighbors, all of your whoever, they all work at these non-local commercial chains for a reason. And that reason is that your local places don't pay enough, and they don't have the hours, and they don't have the financial backing to pay a livable wage. Oh, that's because the box stores are running them out. No, it's because the box stores are paying them enough, or at the very least offering them a job. A lot of these mom and pop places don't have enough jobs available to support everyone else, So, truth be told, the box stores are hiring your local neighbors, your friends, and your family. They're just, it's all the same, And this is the thing. If you can't manage your pricing and keep it reasonable for people, or at the very least justify it through the quality of service, then you got to make changes or go out, dude. Like this thing of box store, chain store versus mom and pop shop is an age as old as time, and it is not going the way that everyone wants it to, which is mom and pops coming up. What's happening is mom and pops getting more stringent. You go to a local restaurant around here and they're charging for refills, and the cups are the size of like tiny little things, and they're charging $3 for the drink. It's like, well, why would I go there? If I can go to a nice restaurant, pay about the same amount of money, and frankly get better food and free refills for $2.50, I mean, why would I go to your weird little burger shop that's kind of okay? So the mom and pops are losing for a reason. It's because they're stuck. They're stuck in this mentality that the community owes them for the sake of being a small business. The community owes them, and that's just not how this stuff goes, man. You don't get to do that. You have to make a good business to gain that support, and the pricing has to be right. But anyway, I've gone through this whole cleanup talking about nonsense. That's so funny. But here's the deal. We're about to get mulch going, just blowing, cleaning up all of my debris. And again, I get crazy on my parking lots. I like the parking lots to be as clean as I can get them. I don't see a lot of people doing that. Like, they'll blow off the edges around the lawns, but I'm blowing back and forth on the whole property, blowing off the debris. And you can see there I've got my clippings of the roses on the side. It's because I don't think, oh, maybe I do show it. Hang on a minute. Oh no, I'm wrong. Oh no, wait. Okay. Listen, the only reason I'm leaving this is because I don't have views. If you want me to make this commentary tighter, okay, and edit this realization I just had out, you're going to have to subscribe, okay? Because right now I have no viewers, and I'm just going to do what I want, and I'm going to leave all that in. What I've just realized is I did leave the mulch in. I do show me mowing. I thought I cut this all out, but this is part of the job, so I guess I left it in. It's funny, the way I'm processing these, I'm editing the videos, and I'll edit like 3 or 4 at a time, and then I'll voice over 3 or 4 at a time on a different day, because the editing does take a while. But basically what you're seeing me do here is I'm just going to mow. This is the initial cutback, cleanup, mow, and then next week I come back to this property, and that is in this same video. So hang out, and you'll see me mulch here in a little bit. But right now we're just bagging up all of these clippings that I blew out from the parking lot. And another reason that I blow out my parking lots the way I do is because I blow it all into the lawn here, and then I can take the bagger or even just mulch it up, and all that like weird little rocks and clippings and debris. It all just kind of chops up in the lawn, and it gets rid of it for good. Because a lot of time what happens is all this stuff just blows back out. But yeah, I'm gonna let this run. Vlog Aaron, at the time of this job being completed, has a few things to say, because this footage is on November 1st, I'm doing this voiceover December the 20th, a month later. So I'm going to let this run. Vlog Aaron will have a few things to say, and then maybe December 20th, future Aaron, me right now, we'll cut back for some more voiceover. All right, so jumping ahead, it's 2:40. The pharmacy should be closed, so we're gonna go out there. We're gonna put out the mulch. If you're new to videos or haven't watched the last few or whatever, basically there's a few city properties where the parking lots are teeny tiny, or for example the doctor's office, like a bunch of sick patients going in for evaluation and consultation. You don't want to hear machinery all the time, right? And get dust all over their cars, or God forbid them. So we have to wait until after hours and get their stuff done. That way I can utilize as much space as I need to fully cover the area and mulch, and I can blow up the dust that's caused and not have any worry about people complaining like, oh, you dented my car, oh, you put dust all over my car, I can't breathe, this is, you know, because that stuff happens. I mean, there's one city property that I've got now that it's the employees, it wasn't even the customers, right? And I started going to them on weekends because the employees would come out like, I just bought this car and you're putting all this junk on it. I'm like, dude, there's nothing on your car. Look, that leaf, look, literally, that leaf, look, you know? And so I took the blower and went zip, you know, I'm like, is that all? And I've never, ever since then, and a couple other incidences with the employees, you know, nothing with the owner, right? He never complains about anything. It's the employees. But ever since then, I have never been to that particular spot when they are there working, just because it's easier to just avoid them. You know, and it's a shame that there are people like that, but hey man, you gotta work around things sometimes, right? A lot of people would just drop the account, and I've definitely considered it, but ever since we've been doing it this way, we're paid, everything's good, everyone's happy, so is what it is. Adios. Right, and here we are a week later, blowing out the leaves, those crepe myrtles. Perfect timing on the crepe myrtles shedding their leaves. You know, if this was a week sooner that I got this job done, those leaves would have held on, and I could have just came straight back and pretty much started mulching. But I like to just go ahead and clear out my space. And yeah, I think at this point we've got the new camera. I don't even know in the first half of this footage, I don't think I had the nice new camera. So yeah, and this is how we do our mulch. One thing that you're going to notice about the way I do mulch is I don't do it, super thick, and there's a few reasons for that. It's not purely for the sake of just saving money. There is a rhyme or reason, and you'll see me here in a minute as I do this now on screen, smooth out my mulch. I'm making sure that if I smooth this out, I'm not seeing any of that gray mulch underneath, because you only really want like 2 or 3 inches of mulch when you reapply, and there's a lot of reasons for that. First and foremost, the thinner layers of mulch are going to break down more evenly, and you're not going to get, it's going to dry out better, it's going to break out more evenly, and you're not going to get those weird little funguses like the yellow, the weird yellow fungus that pops up in the spring if it rains too much. You don't get that if you lay it down pretty thin. You can still get some of those, I can't remember what the name of it is, but there's like these little round kind of clustered fungus. You get a lot of that with mulch when you put it down too thick. You can get a lot of rot issues at the base of plants if you lay it down too thick, and the mulch washes into the trunk of these bushes that you see on screen, or maybe even you pile it up too much on a tree, it ends up a really slow or rot or fungal issue at the base of that plant, which can ruin the aesthetic. And so all we do is we do a light dusting. We're not dumping the wheelbarrow, because if you dump the wheelbarrow, okay, and then you spread it out with the rake, there's a couple things that can happen. First and foremost, it's going to be way too thick where you laid it. It just is, period. You can feel however you want to feel about it. It's going to be way too thick. You're losing so much material, and you're going to have potential for those issues of fungus and whatever in those areas. Secondly, if you are thinning it out pretty well, you do risk digging too far into your pile with your rake, and then digging up from the bottom, mixing in that old gray mulch. Well, then you got to put just a little bit more mulch on top to cover that up. You end up chasing the problem. So dumping the wheelbarrow, I don't like to do it. Doing it this way, it is a lot cheaper for the customer. It is a lot more I don't want to say it's a lot more labor intensive, but because you're doing this shoveling and sling motion, if you get a really big job, that's hard to do. That's a lot of working. But in my humblest of opinions, this is just the best way to do mulch. It just works out. You're getting the boost in color. Mulch, in my opinion, is not fantastic for weed control anyway. Laying it on thicker does not help that. The reason being, and you can look at this mulch, it's really finely ground. It's pretty decent stuff. When it's finely ground like this, what happens is it breaks down into that dirt, or it almost actually kind of starts as more of a dirt, but it breaks down a lot quicker, and that turns into a basically germination bed for your weeds. So mulch is not like, bark mulch is not like the greatest weed prevention mulch. It's more of just the aesthetic, and I always explain that, like, mulch beds, you're just, with the moisture retention of the bark mulch and the fact that it breaks down like it does into that dirt seeding bed, if you will, you're just going to have weeds. So we always include a pre-emergent when we do these, just to really slow that pace down. And when I do any mulch bed type stuff, we do 3 rounds of maintenance per year. So we'll do a spring, summer, fall, which if you're getting mulch in the spring, your spring weeding is included in that visit. So you get the spring mulch install with the weeding, you get the summer weeding, which when I say the summer weeding visit, I mean I'm going to go hand pull all the big stuff. I'm going to add a little bit more pre-emergent. Check your rates on the pre-emergence and make sure. What I do is I'll just apply it at like a half rate, so that I'm not over salting. It's hard to explain. I'm not over applying the chemical to the bed. So I do like half rates 3 times a year. Well, your first rate's a full rate, your summer rate's a half rate, your fall rate's a half rate, because there's not a ton of stuff growing in the fall, but stuff does grow. But yeah, I'll do heavy weeding where I'll pull all the big stuff 3 times a year, put down the pre-emergent, and then on a weekly basis, when I come for mowing, or on my weekly lawn maintenance visits, the first week of each month, I'll spray everything small. One of the things that I tell people is that for the most part, I am solo. Particularly in this 2025 year, I did have help quite a bit, but I'm not, for the most part, I'm doing this stuff alone, and I can't be out here just picking, hundreds and hundreds of little weeds out. It's just not realistic. So we use chemical to prevent and kill what does end up showing out. And most people understand that. The big thing I think with most people is that it's just the less weeds, the better, right? It doesn't necessarily matter how you get rid of them, just as long as you get rid of them. So right here, I'm just kind of digging out this edge so that I can shape it up a little bit better. There's also an anthill in there, so I'm getting rid of those guys. But typically on weird corners, and you'll just figure this stuff out, on weird corners like that where it's super skitty, something about that corner in particular, like if I were to just pile that mulch on top of that, I could never get that smooth look that I like because of the anthill that was there. But also it would just wash out with the first rain for some reason. So, and again, you just kind of get used to certain yards and you'll learn where you need to do this, but all I did was dig out the edges so that if there was washout, it would just wash into that crevice. And then I can make it smooth and even and look nice. But yeah, there's nothing like fresh mulch. The only issue I have with mulch is that it just doesn't maintain its color. And it is a lot more expensive of a job than pine straw per se. However, pine straw prices are through the roof. It used to be $3.60 a bale for a standard bale of really nice long needle pine straw, and now I think going into next year we're looking at like $5.20 a bale. It's getting steep, it really is. And the real issue that I'm having with pine straw this year is I can't find any of the good stuff. They're claiming they have the high quality stuff, but the color on that, it's just not good. And I've talked about this in a cleanup a couple videos back, and I show an example of this. And I even have an example on my channel where I installed a pine straw install 1 week, and I was 1 bale short, so I came back the following when I was going to mow it, and I just picked up a bale from the nearby distributor that they were claiming was high quality, but I put it next to the week old pine straw, and this new quote unquote bale that they had for me was grayer than the stuff that had been laying out for a week. And that's on my channel right now. It's a really old video, but sometimes I'll refer to that and I'll show people the difference. If they're like, what do you mean high quality pine straw? What it's $3 over at Lowe's or Home Depot, and it's like, well, yeah, there's a reason for that. It's kind of junk. However, here's the deal. If I'm going to get junk at the places claiming high quality, you know what? I might as well get cheap junk. I mean, because at this point it's the same stuff, and it's just frustrating. You know, one of the biggest issues that I have is, like, work can be smooth, works great, easy, chill, and then I've got to go buy from a business that claims one thing, but they're actually selling another. You know, or I have to drop a mower off, and they don't know what they're doing. Like, this is always my issue is when another business is involved and they're not organized. Their lack of organization puts my organization at risk, right? My scheduling and my timing and my processes, it puts them at risk. It's like right now, I'm sitting here, I dropped a mower off to be fixed at Thanksgiving, and I don't have it for leaf season, and it's got the bagger on it. So that's the kind of stuff that just frustrates me to no end. Because I could have went through that mower in like a day, and I should have just done it. Because I dropped it off to be fixed for an issue, but also just have full maintenance. But anywho, that's this job, man. It's clean. We do this mulch job twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall. And because we do a proper thin layer, like I say, it's not super expensive for them to just get it twice a year. And it's not a ton of work for me because I'm not over applying it. I'm putting a reasonable amount down. And you can see here, yes, I left a mess, but I cleaned it up with the blower. Get those nice clean edges. Very similar to pine straw. But I feel like someone would watch through this, and before they get to this point, they probably wouldn't make it to this point. They'd be like, hey, he's leaving mulch everywhere. No, I'm not. All clean, all crisp. Looking good. One little trick too, when you're blowing this up, you can actually feather out and smooth your edges a little bit more with the blower, because the wind flow of the blower will smooth those edges just a little bit more than your rake can, because your rake's got those weird ridges and stuff. Like, it works, but your blower here on the edge like this, when all that excess pine straw, the quote-unquote mess, blows over it, it kind of smooths out real evenly, so it just looks super crisp. But yeah, that's it. If you got anything out of this, I really appreciate you watching. We're going to roll into that after footage. And yeah, leave me a comment, subscribe, all the fun stuff. I appreciate you.